Hello everyone, all the THS students. Actually, some of you missed the THS last lesson, THS lesson 2, and those who attended the lesson did not go well because there was a problem with the Zoom meeting. So that's why I'm recording this lesson for all of you, so you can pay attention to this lesson. And why specifically I'm talking about this topic today? Because in the first lesson I checked with most of you that which topic you think is the most important for you to understand. Which topic you want me to explain you more. All right, so today I'm going to talk about Parasuraman Gap model of service quality. So let's discuss it, and then I want all of you to pay attention to this lesson. All right. So what is customer service? So basically customer service is a function of perception, customer expectation, and actual service provided. So basically it's the main, it's a function of everything. Like whatever you're selling, no matter it is about just a service or any product, customer service is the most important factor to make sure that your customer is satisfied with what you're offering. Because if your customer service is not up to what customers expect, then it will not be a successful story for your company. So that's why customer service is very important function for your company to survive. So that's why your customer service has to be outstanding. So make sure that customers are happy and they talk good about your company and they are satisfied, and then they give you repeat business. So that's why customer service is the most important factor to survive in the industry. Okay, so what is the service gap? The service gap we are going to talk about today is the difference between what the customer expected and what they perceived was delivered to them. So for example, they expected that if they pay $10, they would get around $100 worth of service. But let's say they paid $10, but they didn't even get $1 worth of service. So that means they were not satisfied with the service provided to them. So of course, when they are not satisfied, so there's a gap between their expectation and what they actually received or what they actually perceived in actual. So that's what we are going to talk about today. So if there is a gap, if the customer is not satisfied, so what is the formula to satisfy a customer? So first of all, service provider, if the service provided meets customer expectation, it's a good service because it's same as what customer expected. So it's a good customer service. And second one, service provided exceeds customer expectations. That means more than what they expected. So it is an outstanding customer service. So it's very good customer service. Customers are really happy. So this is what I'm talking about. If they give $10, then they get $100 worth of service. So this is exceptional. This is outstanding. And the last one, you can see the smiley face and it's thumbs down. So why is that so? Service provided is not up to customer expectation. So for example, customer expected $100 worth of service by paying $10 only, but in actual they received only $1, or let's say even $5 worth of service by paying $10. So they were not satisfied. They didn't feel it was worth it. So they got dissatisfied with the service. Okay, so gaps model of service quality. So this is where Parasuraman talks about different gaps. Okay, so remember there are 5 gaps. So we start with number 1. So provider gap is a knowledge gap. So what is a knowledge gap? Not knowing what customers expect. And then another provider gap is service design and standards gap. Not having the right service design and standards. So here it's not about they don't know. It's they don't have the enough capacity, even though they know it, but they don't have enough capacity. So we'll discuss more in details later. Third one is also a provider gap. So service performance gap. Okay, even though they know what the customers want, even though they have the capacity, but the problem is that sometimes their staff cannot perform up to the standard set by the company. So this basically happens by the staff limitations of their own. So that's why this is not basically the problem of the company standards, but the staff which is offering those standards to the customers are not performing well. So not delivering to service standards. Okay, and then provider gap 4. So this is communication gap. So communication mean what they promise to customers, what they advertise to customers. So this is not matching performance to promises. So what they advertise, for example, they advertise that we got best food in town, we have best taste in town, but in actual their food is not up to what they advertise. Okay, or sometimes they have some hidden charges. Okay, so they don't really tell in the advertisements. So this is what we say, they over promises. Okay, so even though they don't have those things, but they say they can offer those things. So this is what we say. So we'll talk in details about this communication gap as well. So exaggeration, okay, talking more but giving less. Okay, so these are 4 provider gaps. So which one is the last one, the fifth one? This is we call customer gap. Okay, so what is customer gap? So this gap is not provider gap, it's a customer gap. So this gap happens because of the customer himself or herself, customer's own perception, customer's recommendation from the friends, customer's own experience in the past. Okay, so difference between customer expectation and perception. So this is basically customer's own perception about it. So it has nothing to do with the knowledge gap, standards gap, but its own customers' experiences. So because sometimes, like for example, the first time they came, they got very good service. Okay, maybe because the restaurant was not busy enough, so it was not a heavy load of the work for the staff to take care of all the customers. So they felt really good. But the next time they go there, maybe it's a weekend and staff is really busy. So the customers are not satisfied because the last time we came, the staff was more friendly with us, they were more willing to help, but this time they did not but of course it's because of their own, excuse me, it's because of their own experiences in the past. Okay. Okay, so we start with the gap 1, the knowledge gap. So it refers to the difference between customer expectation and the perception of management towards them. So service providers do not always understand what requirements meet excellence of quality for customers. So sometimes they don't understand that what customers want. They think that customer want A, but they don't want something B. But so to provide A, so they compromise on B. So let's say A is a product, B is a quality. So they think if they just provide A and they can compromise on B, that means quality, so customers will be happy. But of course that's not the case. Imagine if you go to a hotel and they provide you a cheaper room, but when you enter in the room, the quality of the room is not up to the standard. It is very under average room. Okay, maybe the bed is not really clean. Okay, the floor is dirty. Okay, maybe some furniture is broken. Okay, so of course you will not like it, but the management think that, oh, because they are giving you cheaper price, so they don't need to make sure that the room is in a very high standard. So that's why they have the wrong knowledge of what customers want. So I want you to see the example. So customer expect cheap hotel rooms. However, management perception of cheap rooms mean that customers can compromise on quality, which of course is not the case, right? So hotel does not take care of room cleaning as to cut cost and provide cheaper rooms. So this is a wrong knowledge of management. So this creates gap 1. So let's go to gap 2. So service design and standard gap. So it refers to differences between management perception of customer expectations and service quality specifications, that is improper service quality standards. Okay, so in most cases, the management of a company is able to identify the actual customer's expectation, but constraints such as availability of resources can prevent management from delivering what the customers expects. So even though they know what customers want, they have all the knowledge, they have the right standards with them, but the problem is they still have some kind of constraints. It can be they're not enough labor force, okay, not enough staff. So because of that constraint, even though they have the knowledge what customers want, but they cannot give it to them. They cannot make it up to the standard what customers expect, and that's what creates this gap. So I want you to see the example so you will understand better. So hotel management understand guests want to check into their rooms quickly. So of course, every guest who is coming to the hotel after a long flight, they want the room as soon as possible. But hotel lacks of enough room attendants in delivering vacant clean rooms on time for the guest. So that means even though they know what guests want, but they have some limitations, they have some constraints. They cannot offer the room as soon as possible because they don't have enough staff to clean those rooms and make them ready for the guest. So this will create a gap. So we call this service design and standards gap. Even though they have all the knowledge, but limitations as well. So this is what we say the second gap. Okay, so let's go to gap 3. Service performance gap. So relates to the actual performance of service in the face of previously established specification. So company has set the standard for their staff that they should perform their services for customers in that standard, but a service staff fails to deliver the service at a standard required by the company. Even though they have set the standard, but the service staff does not follow it or somehow fails to deliver up to the standard. So that creates this service performance gap. So basically this gap is not because of the company itself. Company has set up the rules, but the problem is that who has to actually deliver the product, the staff do not follow the rules as per set by company. So let's see the example. A customer is dissatisfied with the restaurant services because of the impoliteness of the serving staff. So of course, if the service staff is not really polite with them, then of course they will feel that the restaurant is not taking care of them, okay? So their moment of truth has gone bad, okay, because the customer feels that they are not made special, okay, so maybe they will not come back again, okay, or maybe they will complain, okay, and then spread bad word of mouth about the restaurant, okay, so it will create a chaos. So this is the third gap we call service performance gap. Okay, so fourth gap, the communication gap. So this gap happens because sometimes the company exaggerates too much. Okay, so company advertise more than they can offer. So the difference between the service actually provided and the external communications service specification announced in the media or other communication channels. So they post on some advertisement that we will have 24-hour service. But let's say if the customer go after 12 a.m., then they find out the restaurant is closed. So that means the restaurant did not provided what they promised. So it was just over promising. Okay, it was just exaggeration of the service provided. So over promises, exaggeration of service and products creates problems, and then of course that will create the fourth gap we call communication gap. So this is what they should not be over promising. Okay, so they should make sure they promise what they can provide, and of course if they cannot provide that, they should not promise it. Okay, so let's see the example. For example, a hotel exaggerates its high-end facilities and services in its advertisement to attract customers. But when the guests arrive in the hotel, so guests may feel like being cheated upon their arrival at the hotel. So, of course, if they promise guests that they will give them a luxury hotel room, so it should be a luxurious hotel room. If they don't have it, then they should not promise it. Okay. So, for example, even the restaurant, okay, if they offer some kind of lunch offer, okay, we have $90 buffet, okay, but in actually when you go there, they also have some 10% hidden charges, okay, so maybe you end up paying $99, okay, so that should not be there, okay, so if this is there, this creates communication gap, because what you advertise in actually you provide not as advertised. Okay, so for example, if $90 is the lunch buffet, then you should also advertise at the same time with 10% service charge. So you should not hide anything, you should not lie about anything. Okay, so that will create a communication gap. Okay, so this is the fourth one, and then fifth gap, customer gap. Okay, excuse me. So this was established by customers' own previous experiences. So through word of mouth marketing and due to unacceptably high expectations of customers. So sometimes it is not really the company's fault. Okay, it has nothing to do with the company, but it can be because of the customer's own expectations. Okay, so like for example, going to vegetarian restaurant, now you cannot expect them to provide you something non-veg. Okay, so that is very high expectation. Okay, or maybe let's say you go to any non-Muslim country and you go there and then you expect them to provide you halal food at any cost. Okay, but of course they can provide you vegetarian food, that's another thing. But let's say you say no, I want halal chicken, I want halal beef. Okay, so maybe that won't be possible. So that is very high expectation of the customer. Okay, so sometimes because the customer have very high expectation, and then of course those high expectations maybe is very difficult for any company to meet. So that will create the customer gap. Or sometimes, as I mentioned before, the customer previous experience was too good because of some reason, like for example, it was weekday and it was not rush hour. Okay, and the next visit the customer makes, it is during the weekend and it is a rush hour, so maybe staff is too busy, so staff cannot be as attentive as they were in past. So that will create the customer gap. Okay, so this is the fifth gap. All right, so you can see the customer did not feel the same level of customer service as he was given last time. So of course depends on different circumstances, right? And then another example could be customer heard from a friend that the restaurant provides kids menu, but in actual it did not. Okay, so maybe it was a misunderstanding between the customers and customers' friends. Okay, so it can cause different types of circumstances. Okay, so maybe it's because of not really a restaurant's own mistake. Okay, it can be customers misunderstanding. Okay, all right, so this is created by customer themselves. Okay, so this is the last gap we call customer gap. Okay, so the last but not the least, each gap in the customer experience can be closed through diligent attention from management. Of course, all gaps can be fulfilled, but we need very dedicated management. Okay, so the management, if they fulfill what customers actually want, and they can have more better PR with them. Okay, what I mean by personal relations with them, get more feedback from them, and then try to find out their weaknesses, and I think all the gaps can be fulfilled, and then it can create outstanding customer service for the customers, and customers will be satisfied with the product or service they are paying for. So okay, so in the last of this lesson, I want all of you to go to menti.com and go to menti.com, and then I want you to use this code 712662. So I repeat, you can see on your screen as well, 712662. Okay, so put this code and answer a few questions, and then that will be to double check your knowledge, what you have learned in this lesson, and test your knowledge. And if you still have any question, stay in touch with me, and I will try to solve your problems. Okay, so I'll answer any queries you have. Okay, all right, that's it for today's lesson. I hope all of you remain safe, stay at home, stay safe. Okay, take care, all of you. Bye-bye.